Alright YouTube, for this vlog I was thinking this movie pitch would be a little more of a realistic style movie, but honestly there's no way to make this realistic like the Dark Knight trilogy. This is just a series that is not meant to be realistic, so it's the Jones Beach Total Drama Island inspired series, which is inspired by Survivor. As first character we have the ghost hunter himself, Mr. Husky, 20 Pretty Husky inspired by, so he has that ghost on his chest, which is not a tattoo but rather a ghost that he destroyed in a challenge, and he's back to win the game again. This next thing is the ice type variation of Lantern, my favorite Pokemon, one of the coolest ever variations of Lantern, because this one's in Antarctica, which they have to travel to for a challenge because, you know, although you bet you can imagine a lot of the contestants are like, no, I'm not traveling to Antarctica, but if they choose to refuse, they lose, because that's the host's decision. So I know you must be wondering, who is the host? The host is this guy, Vampire, and this vampire is immune to the sun. Yes, you heard that right. Not even sunlight kills this vampire, and at night he's a freak. And you know, he's a Batman-like character who grew up in Gotham, so you can imagine he's seen a lot of scary stuff, but he's even defeated Batman once, but Batman came back to life in the Lazarus Pit from Ra's al Ghul, which kind of, you know, showed this version of Batman, at least, who fought this vampire, is not as invincible with prep time as we expected, but that's a loophole for another day. We have the mixed martial artist character, who's the strongest contestant, but is voted out early. My light spoiler, but the reason he's voted out is because his enemies were all his contestants, and his colleagues were against him because they expected him to be too strong. They saw him as a threat, so they did the typical trope of get rid of the good guy quickly, so there's no competition. And after that, there were not much competition because the contestants are getting whooped by all sorts of mystical bad guys, such as this one, which is Luke's Gengar first look, shout out. Okay, but one other contestant does take that contestant's place, Mr. Fade Rowther, who is the top pick to win, and the top predicted pick to win, rather, because not many people like him due to his ruthless techniques, and they think he shares a lot of characteristics with the vampire host, which is definitely not a good role model. And you know, you can imagine it was the vampire's host to bring this guy in, because he was a convicted felon and, you know, arrested and put in prison in a deep dark hole. So yeah, pretty much not your top contestant, fan favorite to win. So their first challenge is collecting honey from honeybees, but these are mutant honeybees and they are vicious. They do not like anything or anyone. They're antisocial creatures who protect their honey, not their queen, because they're greedy and they just want to kill anything and everything in sight. But here's the thing, if you don't bother them, they will not bother you, but if you do bother them, they will want to kill you and everything in sight. So it's a tricky challenge for them, and after that challenge it becomes easier because the next challenge is a cake decorating contest, Christmas style. You know, the host is pretty fickle about his motives. Sometimes he wants to just torture the contestants and put them just before the edge of where he, you know, can't do anything else and they'll die, but sometimes he's just like, yeah, let's just bake cakes. And the underdog of this contest is Mr. Alex Aurelius, who's a hip-hop artist and is here to win the money, not because he likes money, but because he wants to donate the money to charity, and he might save a few extra dollars to buy a new record producing because he likes making music. So yeah, he's definitely the best character of this show. So yeah, this has been part 1, Jones Beach Total Drama Island movie pitch. I don't know what I was doing quite with this vlog, but I had a lot of fun, and I like doing a flashback Friday to the artwork. That was my prime motive of this video, was to show you guys my art. So thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned more soon. I'll have more coherent movie pitches and series in the future, but this is just a fun one I wanted to do, so goodbye.